One of the other people that have spoken out about these and similar kind of practices of the adrenochrome harvesting, eating babies kind of claims that used to be like so terribly out of there, and now unfortunately, well, actually fortunately, because that means more people are waking up, but nevertheless, it's very sad that this can happen on our watch, which is why exactly I do what I do. And I think we need to continue start spreading the news, even though I directly experience to which extent people don't want to know about this, even though it happens in the world that they live in. And if you would put one of those babies in their arms, they would very much like to take care of that at their own expense for the rest of their lives. So I call it cognitive dissonance meets conditioned ignorance. Okay, so Mel Gibson, Hollywood is a den of parasites who feast on the blood of kids, from newspunch.com on November 30th, 2017 already. We're talking almost a decade ago. Yeah, this is how mainstream media has been supporting these kind of things by simply ignoring them and or fact-checking them by their friends, and then with vested interest in such outcomes that the masses stay ignorant of these practices. So Hollywood studios are drenched in the blood of innocent children, according to Mel Gibson, who claims the consumption of baby blood is so popular in Hollywood that it basically operates as a currency of its own. Hollywood elites are an enemy of mankind, continually acting contrary to our best interests and breaking every God-given taboo known to men, including the sanctity of children. Mel Gibson said in London, where he is promoting his role in Daddy's Home 2, his most prominent on-screen role in years, "It is an open secret in Hollywood. These people have their own religious and spiritual teaching and their own social and moral frameworks. They have their sacred texts. They are sick, believe me, and they couldn't be more at odds with what America stands for." Mel Gibson appeared on the Graham Norton show on the BBC on Friday, the same one where Heath Ledger once was a guest, or multiple times actually, and then indirectly he ensured that people know of the MK origins with a Hitler-looking pirate kind of representation of his dad, clearly related to MK. And in the introduction of that same show, he looks like he's spitting up some sperm kind of substance, smelling like fish, which is like, anyway, you do the math. Anyway, so Mel Gibson also appeared on the Graham Norton show on the BBC on Friday, and he schooled shocked guests about the real nature of Hollywood elites in a green room backstage after his appearance, explaining that he spent the last 10 years working on my own ideas outside of the Hollywood system after being blacklisted by Hollywood in 2006 for sharing opinions about the industry and the world that run counter to liberal orthodoxy. Gibson said, "I don't know how to break it to you gently, but Hollywood is institutionalized pedophilia," which is congruent with what Lindsay Lohan said in Les Moutons Rebelles about Heath Ledger, that he was completely fed up with that kind of stuff and he wanted to stop it, and he was a dark horse kind of thing in Hollywood. Interestingly enough, that's the same song that Katy Perry made, who's now with Justin Trudeau. And then she was with Orlando Bloom, who played with Heath Ledger in the movie Ned Kelly, which is the Australian representation of Robin Hood, who steals from the rich to give to the poor. Yeah, and he schooled shocked guests about the real nature of Hollywood elites. And he was blacklisted by Hollywood in 2006 for sharing opinions about the industry and the world that run counter to liberal orthodoxy. Gibson said, don't know how to break it to you gently, sorry for the repeat. Hollywood is institutionalized pedophilia. They are using and abusing kids. They churn through a huge amount of kids every year. Their spiritual beliefs, if you can call them that, direct them to harvest the energy of the kids. They feast on this stuff and they thrive on it. The hacksaw rich director said, "What do I mean? This isn't some kind of artistic abstraction. They harvest the blood of children and they eat their flesh. They believe this gives them life force, and if the child was suffering in body and psyche before it died, they believe that this gives them extra life force. There's a creative and loving force inside most of us that guides us through life. These people don't have this. For them, it's the opposite," according to Mel Gibson, who has spent 30 years in and out of the Hollywood system. The industry elites thrive on pain, trauma, stress, abuse, and suffering. Hollywood is drenched in the blood of innocent children for a long time. All the references to pedophilia and cannibalism were symbolic or elusive, but I was personally introduced to the practice in the early 2000s. I can talk about this now because these people, these executives, they're dead now. The blood of a sexually abused infant is considered highly enriched and is highly prized. The money changing hands, the favors, the kickbacks, you have no idea. Babies are a high-functioning currency all of their own. Babies are the premium brand of high-grade caviar, cocaine, diamond steak. But according to Gibson, this isn't the flavor of the month perversion, popular among men and women who have grown bored of standard issue sin. This isn't anything new. If you do some research, you will see it's a metaphysical, alchemical phenomenon. And you can find it behind the scenes in all the dark eras in history. It's a dark, multidimensional, occult art and practice used by secret societies in the last few hundred years for social programming and mind control, and raised to a zenith by Hollywood in America in our era. Mel Gibson was Heath Ledger's mentor and co-star in The Patriot. And Mel Gibson also starred in the movie Conspiracy Theory by Brian Helgeland, the screenplay, with its song Can't Take My Eyes Off You, which Heath Ledger coincidentally sang in 10 Things I Hate About You, his breakthrough movie where he was with Lisa Zane, who was the sister of Billy Zane, who played the bad guy in Titanic. At the premiere, he had like an interesting white card and she was wearing the male suit. And in the biopic I Am Heath Ledger, you can see that they shot an 8mm movie. 8mm maybe is also known, at least by Nicolas Cage's career, as a snuff movie kind of thing. And if those people ask why do these secrets don't come out, is because people are highly compromised. To an extent that they make sure they don't come out, otherwise they're destroyed, to an extent that, for example, one would commit suicide, which isn't something that happened not very often. So just to say that it's not for no reason I think that Heath Ledger disappeared from the world stage under suspicious circumstances, and that he wanted to put an end to that. And in order to do that, I think you have to infiltrate and become one of the bad guys. And maybe that's why it says some people live long enough as a hero to become the villain, which is exactly what his pre-last role was supposed to be. And in his last role, he played the role of Anthony, which was also having a little bit of controversial things with children being abused, for the record. And he was laughing a lot about, according to Terry Gilliam, the producer, and his friend or director, sorry for that, who said he couldn't help but laughing about what he was getting away with. So I think there are some people in the Hollywood and entertainment business in general, music business, that sort of blatantly try to expose these kinds of things within the rigid frameworks that they have to function in at the cost of their lives. And they do so by sacrificing themselves, metaphorically through their careers, and also, for example, by exposing blatantly what is happening, to the extent that, for example, one could show a child on the street with a book under their arms called Scarecrow, and then the child is obviously pregnant, and one could say it's blatant arrogance to support the loop. I'm an insider of the Illuminati kind of thingy, and I'm very much participating in this kind of stuff and glorifying it even out in the public eyes, for hidden in plain sight for those with eyes to see. Hidden in Plain Sight is also a chapter on the last movie of Heath Ledger, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, in the extras. And on the other hand, it could be that they're sacrificing themselves to cosmically wake up people to the reality that they live in. And in that sense, they sort of play both sides of the equation, which has been happening for since ages already, by, for example, people funding both sides of the war. So it doesn't matter who wins, because they win either way. Okay, another video, controversial video of the day to keep the doctor away.